People have this idea that being an attractive woman is some kind of cheat code to life. Like you walk into a room and suddenly everything goes your way. People assume you get special treatment, that life just opens up for you. But let me tell you something that most people don't see. There is a dark side, and it starts with the kind of attention that doesn't feel like flattery. It feels like a warning. Because when you're seen as attractive, people don't just look at you, they stare, they comment, they assume they have access to you. And that doesn't feel like privilege. That feels like pressure. Like you always have to be on, always have to be aware of your surroundings, your clothes, your body language, because one wrong move, and someone might take it as an invitation. You learn early on that beauty draws attention, but not all of it is welcome, and very little of it is harmless. It's not just the stares, it's the entitlement. The way some people act like being attractive means you owe them something: a smile, a response, your time, your body. It's the way, hey, beautiful on the street can flip into aggression if you don't respond the right way. It's the way someone touches your arm without asking, stands too close, makes comments like you're not even a person, just a decoration. And the truth is, you start internalizing this. You start questioning yourself. Did I smile too much? Did I lead him on by saying hello? Should I have worn something different? That kind of second guessing isn't born from insecurity. It's born from experience. From the dozens, maybe hundreds, of little moments where you were made to feel like your looks were a liability. It doesn't stop when you leave the street either. It follows you into school, into the workplace, into relationships. People underestimate you or sexualize you before they even know you. Your competence is questioned. Your ambitions are dismissed. And if you succeed, there's always that whisper, well, of course she did. Look at her. As if your achievements are somehow less valid because of how you look. There's this emotional toll that comes with constantly being watched. You start to shrink. You stop expressing yourself fully. You dress differently just to avoid the eyes, the comments, the assumptions. You begin to hide parts of yourself, not because you want to, but because it feels safer that way. Because sometimes it's just easier not to be noticed. And if you do speak up, if you say, hey, that made me uncomfortable, or that wasn't okay, you're told you're overreacting. You're told to take it as a compliment. You're made to feel like your discomfort is your fault. That's not empowerment. That's gaslighting. So many attractive women walk around with this invisible burden. They're taught to be grateful for their looks, while silently carrying the fear, the discomfort, the constant need to assess their environment. They're told they're lucky, when really, they're just trying to get through the day without being interrupted, followed, or reduced to someone's fantasy. This isn't about complaining. This is about truth, about naming the reality that so many women live with, but are rarely allowed to talk about. Because when you finally do say it out loud, you realize you're not alone, you're not crazy, and you're not wrong for wanting to feel safe in your own skin. You deserve to be respected beyond what you look like. You deserve to walk through the world without feeling like your body is public property. And if someone ever makes you feel otherwise, that's not on you. That's on them. And if you ever forget that, remember what Mel Robbins always says: you are not responsible for how people react to your power. You're responsible for standing in it. Let's talk about something that's not as visible, but just as damaging: the way attractive women are constantly misjudged. It's almost like the world has already made up its mind about you before you even open your mouth. And here's the kicker: the very thing people say is a gift, your looks, can end up being the reason they don't take you seriously. It happens in school, in meetings, in interviews, even in conversations with strangers. The assumptions come flying in fast. If you're attractive, then you must be shallow. You must be relying on your appearance to get ahead. You must not have anything real to offer beyond a pretty face. It's unbelievable how quickly people decide who you are just because of how you look. They don't see your ambition, your intelligence, your drive. They see an image, and they stop there. And for attractive women, it's exhausting, because no matter how hard you work, you're always having to prove that you deserve to be in the room. You walk in and immediately feel like you have to earn back credibility that was never given to you in the first place. You can be the most qualified, the most experienced, the most prepared person in the room, and still there's this silent doubt. This unspoken question hanging in the air: is she really that good, or did she just get lucky? And let me tell you, that kind of subtle disrespect chips away at your confidence, not because you doubt yourself, but because you get tired of constantly having to defend your worth. You get tired of being underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed. You get tired of having to downplay your appearance just so people will focus on what you're saying. Even worse, some women try to overcompensate. They work twice as hard, speak twice as fast, carry themselves with this intense precision just to avoid being labeled as a pretty face. And sometimes even that doesn't work. Because no matter how competent you are, there are still people who will chalk up your success to your appearance, as if your hard work, your late nights, your sacrifices didn't count, as if beauty automatically disqualifies you from being brilliant. There's also this strange resentment that can creep in from others, colleagues, classmates, even other women sometimes. Like your looks are some kind of unfair advantage, when in reality, they're often just another barrier. It creates this tension where people don't know whether to admire you or resent you, and that can lead to isolation. You feel like you have to constantly prove you're more than just looks, while simultaneously navigating other people's projections, jealousy, or assumptions. And let's not forget the inner battle, because when people keep treating you like you're not capable or serious, you start to question yourself. You start wondering if maybe it's true. Maybe they don't see you as intelligent because you're not enough. That voice, that doubt, it doesn't come from you. It comes from a world that still struggles to believe that a woman can be both beautiful and brilliant, both confident and competent. But the truth is, you don't have to choose. You don't have to shrink your beauty to be seen as smart. You don't have to dim your presence to be respected. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the space you take up or the success you've earned. The real problem isn't how you look, it's the way others respond to it. And that's not your weight to carry. You are allowed to show up exactly as you are: sharp, stylish, bold, and brilliant. And if someone can't handle all of that, that's their limitation, not yours. Stop waiting for permission to be taken seriously. Own your value, walk in your power, and let them catch up. There's something no one really prepares you for when you're an attractive woman: the way it can make it incredibly hard to build real, meaningful relationships. People think beauty makes connection easier, that you walk into a room and people just flock to you, wanting to know you, wanting to be close. But what they don't realize is that most of the time, what people are drawn to isn't you. It's the version of you they've created in their head. And that version has nothing to do with your heart, your story, your truth. When people are focused on your appearance, they often miss everything else. They don't ask about your passions, your fears, what you've overcome, or what keeps you up at night. Instead, they assume. They assume you're confident, secure, maybe even unapproachable. They assume you don't struggle, don't worry, don't feel unseen. But you do. You absolutely do. It becomes hard to trust. You start to wonder if people really like you, or just the attention they get from being around you. In dating, it gets even more complicated. Some people aren't interested in who you are. They're interested in how you make them feel. You become a reflection of their ego. They want to show you off, but they don't really want to know what makes you tick. The connection stays shallow, and when you try to go deeper, they pull back. Because they were never here for the real you. They were here for the fantasy. Friendships can suffer too. You might notice subtle resentment, jokes that don't feel so harmless, or this strange distance that forms when your presence makes others feel insecure. It's like your appearance becomes this unspoken barrier. And even when you try to downplay it, to make others more comfortable, it doesn't always help. You end up shrinking yourself to fit into places where you should have been able to show up fully. That's when the loneliness creeps in. And not the kind where you're physically alone, because chances are you're not. People are around. They compliment you, they smile, they engage. But it's surface level. It doesn't touch your soul. It doesn't fill you up. You can feel completely isolated in a room full of people when you're not being seen for who you really are. And what's worse is, when you talk about this, when you say that it's hard to find genuine connection, some people don't get it. They roll their eyes. They say, Must be nice to be so pretty and have that problem. But it's not about vanity, it's about value. You want to be valued for your mind, your heart, your character, not just the way you look when you walk into a room. You deserve to be in relationships, romantic or platonic, where you don't have to question someone's intentions, where you don't have to constantly wonder, would they treat me the same if I looked different? Where you can let your guard down, take off the mask, and just be, without performing, without shrinking, without doubting. Because the truth is, beauty might open doors, but it doesn't guarantee depth. That part, the real connection, the meaningful trust, the love that sees beyond the surface, that takes more. It takes discernment, it takes boundaries, and it takes walking away from anything that feels empty, no matter how shiny it looks on the outside. And if no one's told you this before, let me be the first. You are more than what people see. You are allowed to ask for more, and you are absolutely worthy of being loved for your whole self. Not just the version that turns heads. As Mel Robbins would say, don't settle for being admired when you're meant to be deeply known.